Heat transfer methods. There are 3 different methods for heat transfer. The first is conduction, second is convection, third is radiation. First, what is heat? Heat is a transfer of energy to a colder object. The heat from a warmer object is transferred to a cooler object, and it creates a cycle. How is heat made? Heat is made with motion. The motion of molecules and atoms bouncing around, creating kinetic energy. The more the molecules there are, the more energy produced, and the hotter it gets. More molecules, more movement, more energy, more heat. The different types of heat transfers are conduction, convection, and radiation. All 3 of these do different types of transfer with different methods. Conduction. Conduction is the transfer of energy by the movement of particles that are in contact with each other. This energy is transferred by direct contact. Different examples of conduction are as follows: touching a hot pot, an iron rod in a fire, heating a pot on the stove, a curling iron. All of these items require physical contact with heat. Whenever you touch a hot pot, your hand is making contact with that handle and energy is transferred. An iron rod in a fire is in direct contact with the fire, which is transferring energy to the rod, and then we see the results from the rod as the rod gets hotter and hotter and changes colors. Heating a pot on the stove. When we turn the stove on and put the pot over the stove or the pot is in direct contact with the stove and it gets hot. Curling iron. The curling iron gets hot and we use it on hair with direct contact with the curling iron and the hair and transferring energy from the iron to hair. These are all examples of conduction. Convection. Convection is the process by which heat is transferred by movement of a heated fluid such as air or water. This heat transfer is different from conduction in that it doesn't require direct contact. Different examples of convection are boiling water, a sauna, a portable heater, as we saw in the picture in the previous slide, and hot air balloons. For the boiling water, as the water is heated, it creates steam, which is a form of heat. A sauna in a confined room, as heat is being throughout the room creates density, which creates steam and makes heat. Portable heater is another example. As we know, hot air rises and cold air falls. And the portable heater is an example of convection with air. As the heater heats, the hot air rises, pushing the cold air down, which brings it back to the heater, which then heats more hot air that rises and pushes colder air down. This is creating a cycle with heat transfer in air. Hot air balloon. As there is heat being pushed, the hot air rises again, and by doing so is able to lift the hot air balloon. Radiation. This method of heat transfer does not rely on any contact between the heat source and the object. This is different than conduction and convection. It can be transmitted through empty spaces, through electromagnetic waves. Examples of radiation. When you sit by a campfire, the fire is going, you're not directly touching the fire, but you feel the heat from it. This is an example of radiation. Microwave. When you turn a microwave on, place your food inside the microwave. Your food is not directly touching the heat, but through radiation and heat transfer, it's able to heat the food. Solar panels. Solar panels are an example of radiation through energy transfer. As the sun heats the solar panels, it creates energy and then is transferred as energy that can be used. The sun is an example of radiation. Although it's not directly touching anything, you feel the heat from it. It heats the earth, even if you can't see it. With radiation, you feel the effects of it, but it cannot be seen with the visible eye. The importance of conduction, convection, and radiation. We see these in our daily lives, and sometimes we don't even realize it. Heat transfer through these 3 different methods provides warmth and temperature balance. It allows us to grow food and cook. Without the sun, we would not be able to grow plants and grow food and garden. We also would not be able to cook things such as meat, rice, couldn't bake, All these things require heat. We also use it for pain relief, for joints and aches. When you get a neck ache, you put a heating pad on your muscles and it relaxes. That's a heat transfer through conduction. All of these things that we use on a daily basis are important and vital to us, and we would not be able to survive without them.